telling you, slight delays, but as we get on in here, live up there, let me check. All right,
Yep.
yeah, we're
How you doing, Instagram
good.
followers? Thank you all. Um, yep,
Whew, we're here.
yep, we are
Happy
here.
Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for joining us. It is Marriage Fit Friday, and congratulations, we made it to the end of the week. So it is the weekend finally.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep the topic pretty general tonight. So we're just asking the question: are you marriage fit? This is a review, self-review, relationship review topic. So let's go ahead and discuss.
Yeah, it's no question for tonight, but we always like to talk about things that help couples to get in shape for marriage and to stay in shape for marriage. So that's where the whole theme of Marriage Fit Friday comes from, because this is actually full on, kind of like we like to say, marriage is a marathon. So marriage being the first institution by God, created by God first. We're not so much talking about the aspect of, adding in the state and all that other good stuff. But when a man and a woman comes together and to actually commit to a lifelong exclusive relationship with each other, what does that look like? And how do you prepare for it? Because just like a marathon, you don't want to just jump into it and not be prepared for it. Right.
Yep.
There's no question for tonight. But if anybody has questions or comments during this show, this is our more relaxed show. So we really like to engage with everybody. I'm trying to keep up on making sure that we're paying attention to all the chats and the comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you all have any questions, by all means, please, join in on the conversation. We don't mind to digress and go off topic depending on what questions you have. So please, enjoy yourself, enjoy the show. And we can go ahead and continue.
Yeah.
So a marathon is a challenging race, of course, and marriage can also be challenging. So there will be ups and downs, and you will need to work hard to make it through.
Yeah. Yep. But, kind of like what I had pretty much just said, but to kind of dig a little deeper into that, being that you are basically entering into a lifelong race, a lifelong, long marathon that you're going to run with your spouse. You want to prepare for it. So you need to learn about different aspects that we're going to go through tonight, what we consider your mental, your mind, body, and spirit, and how you actually prepare yourself as being single and prepare yourself when you're married or just even dating. What does that look like, and how can you make sure that you stay marriage fit so that your relationship really does stand the test of time. That's really what it is at the end of the day, like really having to learn about each other, learn about your spouse, learn about the commitment that you're making and how you can get through life together. And, you really develop communication and conflict resolutions. And we'll get into some tips on this later for sure. But yeah, that's just the whole aspect of marriage is really mind, body, and spirit,
Yep.
and staying in shape for that.
So marriage, like a marathon, is a test of physical endurance and also emotional endurance. You will need to be able to persevere through difficult times, and you will need to be able to find ways to cope with stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And we'll definitely go through on how to do that too.
Mm-hmm. So you can't run a marathon on your own, and you can't have a successful marriage on your own as well. So you need to be able to work together as a team. You need to be able to support each other through the tough times, and you must celebrate your successes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's super big when you're in a marriage and trying to do things together. You want to celebrate it. You want to train together. So everything that we kind of go through tonight is going to be applicable whether you're single, whether you're dating, or in a relationship, because these, again, like we're saying, these are things that you have to continuously do. And that's why Marriage Fit Friday is very fitting, because it's something that you need to make it a habit and checking in. And we want to normalize the aspect of coming together as a community and doing the things that really help us to have healthier relationships, because they become kind of a part of the culture and habit and routine. Is that's what you really want for families, to actually have that consistency within the culture of these are the behaviors and these are pretty much the kind of like the standards of how you want to carry your relationship so that it can be happy and healthy for both people involved,
Mm-hmm.
and really, of course, like you were saying, stand through the test of time, because I think that's really where a lot of problems may come up, when it's hard for couples to get through different challenges that life may bring, and you want to be prepared for that. So we always recommend different things that you can do as you're single, and mentally really to prepare yourself, especially like we always talk about having premarital counseling. So we consider this, although it's not, we're not licensed therapists or nothing, but this is one form of you being able to prepare yourself and learn the tools and the skills that you need to get through life. And also too, as us being a married couple, it's good for us too, as a review of things that are helpful. So, leading by example in a way too, because
Mm-hmm.
these are things that we naturally do within our relationship as well, pretty much on a daily basis, because we're pretty close. So, it's just a natural habit that you build up, and it helps you keep those healthy, the healthy environment for your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, though, it's funny because marriage isn't the perfect analogy for a marathon, because there are so many differences between marriage and, actually running a marathon. But there are a lot of similarities. And if you can kind of come to a helpful understanding of how the similarities of running this marathon in marriage can really be rewarding, and also prepare yourself for the challenges, it'll really help you to see the benefit in actually getting married and having a long, successful companion for life.
Yep. Mental training for marriage needs to be done while you are single, dating, and actively married.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're single, reflect on your values and goals. What are the most important things to you in life? So also, what are your hopes and dreams for your future? Once you know what's important to you, you can start to look for a partner who shares the values and goals. So share these values and goals.
Mm-hmm.
Those are very important. Not only do you ask yourself that when you do find someone who's dating, you need to ask these questions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because what these questions will do allow you to understand barriers, understand marriage vision. So you understand your vision of where you're going as far as in the future with your marriage and your significant other.
Yep. 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 That's so true. Of
Oh,
course. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead. So
You
be
go.
honest
No.
with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses. So work on your self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
What are your strengths and weaknesses? What are your triggers? What are the reasons for your past relationships not working out? So your past relationship failures. It's important to be aware of your own strengths and weaknesses so that you can better understand your partner in marriage. The more you know about yourself, the better equipped you'll be to handle the challenges of marriage.
Yeah. I think that's important. Better for that question, like your strengths and weaknesses, for you to take, and analyze for yourself, other than the question of like, what do you bring to the table?
Right,
That's kind of a better way of putting that into perspective,
right.
taking it out of that, because people get so offended of, oh, what you bring to the table, but, and the most important thing is really like, what can I bring for the relationship that's a natural strength for me, and then also being aware of the things that are your weaknesses for you, because that's going to be something that you're going to have to work on in order to have your relationship and actually compromise and build with this person. You got to know what you're not good at, and then also it gives your spouse the heads up, like, hey, this is at least what I know I'm getting myself into. She might have had this kind of trauma or that kind of trauma, or he might have been through this or that. And just knowing those things and how it impacted you is really going to be helpful when you're trying to build something with someone else. Because, you don't want to hold that against them or anything, especially if it's something that, you understand. But it's certainly, of course, you have to come into this awareness for yourself first.
Right. What I'm getting from this too is that marriage is not an emotional decision.
No
This
way.
is more
Yeah.
so a I always say that marriage is a business decision. You're sharing yourself, you're sharing your life, you're sharing finances, you're sharing everything with someone else. It is a great relationship that you're building overall. So you fall into trouble when you make emotional decisions, and often at times that ultimately leads to divorce. So
Mhm.
make sure that you clear your mind, body, and soul when you get ready to get married with
Right.
somebody, because I think that was the old way of getting married. A lot of people got married because they were the honeymoon phase. That, oh,
Yeah.
I get so asphyxiated with you, and well, this is so good. We're a year in or 6 months in. Let's go get
Right.
married.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the reason why was it Nevada. Nevada has the highest rate for marriage, of course, because it always been that way.
And
People,
divorces too.
right, and divorces too. The
Yeah.
highest rate of marriages and divorces, because what people go to Vegas and they get eloped.
Yeah.
That's a that's a tradition of Vegas,
Emotional,
and
yeah.
we know people who
Mhm.
did that. So and got divorced. So this is that is true, that marriage often at times on average is an emotional decision. It needs not to be that.
Mm-mm.
It needs to be something that is calculated. It needs to be something that is well thought out. It needs to be something that you both agree to under normal circumstances. And that is a great way to prevent divorce or disaster in the relationship, because and also being prepared for marriage
Mhm.
is another reason to outlast and run this marathon with somebody.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. I do, if I may add, think it is a spiritual decision as well,
Right.
because it's a lot of
That's his
soul
soul.
searching. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what made me think, more of it, because it's a lot of soul searching that needs to be done. You really have to take it serious, because I always say it is the first institution that was created by God, and bringing the man and the woman together. So it's serious business. It's not something that you just get into for the heck of it without actually sitting down, thinking about it, and really assessing, what you're getting yourself into. Because although God created, the great miracle of the man and the woman being able to come together, we still left with freedom of choice.
Right.
And in that choice is kind of where a lot of your power and also discrepancies have to be made, so that you don't get yourself into such a messed up situation, and then it in a way will taint your soul.
Right.
Because then you're like, I can't believe I've gone
Right.
through this experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And then speaking of the soul in marriage, you're not always compatible with everybody.
Right. You're not.
Relationships don't form. You don't form relationships with just any and everybody. And like you saying, tainting the soul. A lot of people who get into their first bad relationships, it sets the tone for them overall in other relationships.
Mhm.
So you really need to be diligent when you get into a relationship with somebody. Relationships are not just something that you just jump into and think that we're going to I'm gonna just make this work out or see where I go or how
Yeah.
this falls, how the cards may fall. You actually need to take responsibility in your relationship, take accountability in the relationship that you are in, and work with your partner in order to make that work.
Yeah, we got a true.
Yeah. And we don't always, and that doesn't always happen.
Right.
That is what me and my wife did. We calculated what we wanted to do. We set goals, and we were careful about achieving those goals. We were intentional about coming together.
And before that too, most importantly, we had set those intentions for ourselves prior to being together.
Right.
I knew I wanted to be a wife, and you knew you wanted to be a husband, and
Right.
you were ready for a wife.
Right. Because what I did before me and my wife got together, actually living together, I had put a solicitation out on Facebook looking for a wife, a job description of what my what was it, my barriers per se, of what I was looking for and what I was not going to tolerate. And I did have people who were sending me messages. Hey, I had women with children asking me, would you consider that? I was silent on that because at the time I didn't know exactly would I marry someone with children, but I know today I would not, me being at the time single. And no one gave me a book on marriage. I never read a book about marriage or how to get into a relationship, but just so happened, I lucked up and me and my wife got together. So
Yeah, no, I didn't see the solicitation.
right, and she did not see it either,
I didn't.
and she did
I
not
ain't
see
got
it at all.
Facebook.
Yeah, she didn't even have a Facebook account. So it's just that, that was that soul, the spiritual aspect that my wife was talking about. It is real, when you meet your soulmate, somebody who you can actually get along with and live life through, with, and also to achieve goals and build with.
Yeah.
I understand that, not everybody's going to find that soulmate. Not everybody can, have that blessing of being with somebody that they're compatible with, but you can minimize risks by, being vigilant, being, what do you call it, intentional with your,
And discerning.
yep, and discerning about what you want and who you're vetting and who you want to be with. Be very selective about who you allow into your life, because people can either build you up or tear you down. That's it. That's the bottom line. And your environment, produce certain types of people. And often at times, like we talked about before, you have to move. If your environment is not the best place for relationships or raising children or just being in at all, more than likely you probably need to move.
Yeah.
If your life is not fruitful, it's not productive, and you're always doing things that are detrimental to yourself and other people, then more than likely you're not marriage fit.
Yeah.
So how can you be in a relationship with somebody, and when you're not whole, when you're not together yourself?
Yeah.
So just understand that. A lot of, and for those guys out there, who play women, or women who are, gold diggers and try to play men, how can you expect to one day be married? These people are not, looking for marriage or the intention of marriage. It's important to pick up those red flags on these people. I know I'm, just ranting and going on, but at the same token, like, it's very important for us, especially young people, before they get into a, relationship with somebody who may not mean them no good or any good at all, to understand what red flags are. Discernment. Practice discernment, because you don't want to get into a situation to where you're making mistakes and you have children with somebody in which they mean you no good and they had no intentions on being with you.
Yeah.
Now, I think that we need to stop that overall as a society and as a nation, as a people.
Yeah.
Because that's very detrimental to our communities and our society.
Yeah, it is.
It really, the intentions need to be there. And unfortunately, this is a complex dynamic of raising families and being in love and having a real marriage with somebody. But unfortunately, people get taken taken advantage of, and you all need to understand how to practice discernment and accountability in relationships, and being transparent and honest.
Yep.
So that's about, being honest.
Yep. About your strengths and your weaknesses and yourself, the inner self. I think too, as we kind of get slightly back onto topic, but like too, when you're single, still right on what you were saying, when you are single, being able to practice those behaviors before you enter the relationship. So one in particular, being able to communicate effectively, and more importantly, efficient communication, and having the opportunities to practice that when you are single. I think that's important to especially build up, because communication is really the foundation for relationships. So when you think about coming from environments where you're not raised to see this healthy communication, or to see this healthy dynamic, or even to just understand your own role, to actively be deliberate in seeking out, how can I better myself in this aspect of communication and problem solving, and working with a man or working with a woman, and coming together and being honest with myself and my spouse, and all of these things that are super important for you to even be able to function within the dynamics of a relationship. So just being not only discerning and diligent with that, with, picking a partner, but also with doing the work that it requires to get yourself ready and in alignment with actually being able to be with somebody. That's big. When I think of communication as one of the ones for single people in particular, for the mental aspect of it, journaling is excellent. We always talk about that. Or maybe even taking like a communications class or like a workshop, or you mentioned before like improv. I always
Mhm.
think that's a good idea, especially if you're in your shell and or you're not used to actually being able to get out and communicate and express yourself. So that's offers the opportunity of you stepping outside of your comfort zone and challenging maybe those fears if you have any like that. So it's just really, really helpful as far as the mental aspect of preparing yourself for marriage. But then also when you're talking about dating, actually being in a relationship and vetting the person, it goes right back into just asking those questions that are going to help you to get to know your spouse and get to know their expectations, those values, those hopes, those dreams for marriage, that overall vision for marriage, and making sure that aligns first, and really seeing if this person is being honest about that. If it all kind of backs up with their actions and stuff like that. That's one definite way that you mentally want to be able to prepare for marriage if you're dating or something like
Mhm.
or in a somewhat committed relationship,
Right.
the early honeymoon stages
Right.
where yeah.
I mean, and also too, in those early stages, it's important to have eye contact with who you're
Hmm.
dating. Be mindful of that.
To see
How
that soul.
Right? How much eye contact are you getting from this new person that you're allowing into your life? Because
Hmm.
more than likely, if you can tell if they have something that they're hiding, or
Hmm.
also too what their intentions are with the lack of eye contact.
Yeah.
So, and then also other things like how much are they in their phones and
Yeah.
how attentive they are to what you're talking about and what you're saying.
Hmm.
Make sure that they are
Hmm.
paying attention to you.
Yeah.
Especially for those young people out there who are just getting into relationships and trying to make things work. That struggle of,
Mm.
that's trying to get together and struggle. We're seeing more and more of that. Every day dealing with this economy. People just trying to struggle together and make things work. You got to really make sure that the person that you're with is really for you and about you.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
if anything, good eye contact. Make sure that you all are maintaining that so that you can
Hmm.
properly communicate with each other.
Yeah, within our wife economics course, one of the we go into communication for a whole 2 weeks because we first talk about the nonverbal cues and how important it is and how easy that is to actually be able to use as a navigation tool for dating. For I use it for women in particular to be able to help, but men could use that as well. Being able to pay attention to a woman's nonverbal cues and how she communicates with you will really just kind of give you a little peek into the soul, like you said,
Right.
with the eyes and stuff like that, or even just like how they're feeling. And it will overall just help you to overall be more discerning about this person and making sure that they really are for you, like my husband was saying. Because
Yeah.
yeah, that's like dead giveaways if they're not open to you and
Right.
stuff.
I mean, because I remember, not doing that with females that I have no intentions with.
Yeah.
I didn't give a lot of eye contact. I was always not really occupied with them or whatever the case may be, or interested in what they're talking about. That's
Hmm.
just coming from a place of experience. So
Hmm.
I remember what that was like, back then. So yes, very important. That type of communication is very important if you're very intentional about building a relationship with someone.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, if you are in a committed relationship, so of course we kind of talked about the whole dating, the single aspect of mental preparation for marriage, but now we're talking more so about those who are committed and working to either be married with with the partner spouse, or actually getting you're keeping your marriage going in a way, and keeping things and getting things on the right path if you're even having some type of trouble or anything like that. But of course, we always consider premarital counseling. We always want to recommend that. Before I make sure to go a little further, if you are actually really considering of settling down with a spouse, actually getting that third party not approval, but kind of like a verification, like a little check for you just to make sure. It's always nice. So whether that's even just your parents or your aunts, uncles,
Someone who's married.
that older married couple that you admire, your pastors if you're religious, your spiritual advisors, it doesn't always have to be a therapist, or even people like us, just great married couples who are out here giving advice for others, you can make sure to use that third party to help you out and really see, like, okay, is this a good fit for us? Like, how is this going? And then also to being able to gain those effective communication skills ahead of time, being able to navigate and resolve conflict in a healthy way, getting those tips ahead of time are super important to even do before you get into a marriage. So please take the time. If you have any questions that we haven't, that we have covered before, maybe look back in our YouTube log. We've been doing this every night for like 4 or 5 months. So we got lots of videos talking about all types of communication and
Going on 6
resolving.
months.
Yeah, going on 6 months. We got a lot of content that people could actually use, and that's what it's there for, to really sit down and see, and maybe even watch and listen to with your spouse, so that you can, gain your skills and help work towards mentally being prepared for marriage and staying in shape mentally when you are married.
Right, but also to understand that you need to be receptive to the information that someone gives you.
Yeah.
Because if someone is giving you good advice, you can't be hard-headed and then ignore it. Especially if you try these steps and these things that we're telling you, and then you just dismiss it and want to go about things your way. Often at times it will not work out.
Right.
Understand that, especially if what you've been doing already has been not showing any fruitful results. So understand that. So those people who tried relationships before, tried a marriage, and they said they poured everything into somebody and it did not work, there may be some reasons why. It may be you. So you often at times need to take that information that someone gives you, and apply it to yourself. Apply it to yourself, apply it to wisdom, and see if it is true that possibility was you. Because a lot of people often at times don't like to look in the mirror and try to review themselves. They always like to point blame on somebody else.
Yeah.
They lack accountability. A lot of people in this society lack accountability when it comes to relationships, and it's never their fault. So how can they always, and then they don't want to get back into a relationship, and they're so quick to, talk bad about other people in their relationships, and just get up mad and frustrated at people who are happy. That's just a thing in this society, and I'm seeing that from the comments and the video that we did with the Daily Wrap Up crew when we went to New York. It's a lot of cold, sad people out here. And it results a lot. And what I'm getting from this and how I analyze it is that they're coming from a place of trauma. And that traumas came from a past relationship in which they've failed at. And without getting help, I would not advise these people to get back into another relationship. And from where they come from and where they're speaking at, these people, especially women, I'm seeing this from a lot of women out there. You all are, women. I don't like to generalize, but a lot of those women who made those negative comments, they're not trying to seek any type of help, and nor do they think that they were the cause of the issue. So, is to be fair, it is best to get some sort of counseling or some sort of help, in order to, and then also to be receptive to that information that somebody's giving you. Because you're always going to get the same results, especially if you've been traumatized in a past relationship, carrying that type of baggage into a new relationship. How are you going to expect changes when you're doing the same stuff that you've always been doing with the same mentality and the same attitude? I think that if a lot of people out here will actually be truthful to themselves about past relationships, of course, you may have been done wrong, yes, but you have to understand that you need to heal from that. And it takes a long time to heal from a long relationship. But also, too, you have to take accountability to the fact that you stayed in that relationship.
And you got to do the work, too.
Right.
Actively do the work.
Right. And you have to actively do the work. But you also, too, you shouldn't have to stay with people who don't do good by you or do good for you. You have to also understand when to pull out and when to leave, and an exit.
Yep.
So have an exit strategy when you get out of that bad relationship, and then heal yourself. So, okay, so if you are in a committed relationship, checking in with your spouse about their mental health can be a great way to strengthen your relationship and to support each other through difficult times. So be present and engage with your spouse. Create a safe space for each other by being open and non-judgmental ask questions. Here are some mental check questions that you can ask your spouse.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to read
Well,
this?
I was just thinking
Mhm.
slightly back to what you were saying about the creating a safe space for each other. That's and by being open and non-judgmental, I think that's the big part that comes right after the healing is, and it's super important that you're able to do this with the next person that you get into this relationship with, because kind of like what we talked about with the strength and the weaknesses, you have to be able to talk about the things that you've gone through, and you both want to have that safe space so that you are able to be open and honest, and then feel comfortable talking about, the issues and things that you have gone through and how you have actually looked to improve. I think if you have asked that question, what's your strengths and your weaknesses, you should really hopefully get a peek into the lessons that a person has learned from their past. If you ask this question and they can't tell you any of the lessons that they've learned, then that's a huge red flag, and that's a huge sign that they haven't taken the time to heal and do the work that's needed in order to overcome from those, traumatic relationships. Because truth be told, I don't really like to make too many excuses, because in this society we've all gone through some type of trauma. We've all had been hurt, felt pain or experienced something. And I honestly think once you've reached adulthood, you have to just, take it and take the cards that you're dealt and be able to then make something great out of it and make your next move great out of what you're just, given. So that's okay. That people have been hurt, and I don't really, I don't know, I don't read the comments and stuff like that, but I've heard like a lot of what you're saying and a lot of the interactions and stuff and seeing people online, and a lot of it, truth be told, to me, I think is fear. And if
Well,
people
that's
would
trauma.
just, yeah, and so if people would just really take the time to address those fears and really heal, they'll be able to really look on the brighter side of things and actually be able to move forward with a
Relief. They
spouse.
will
Yeah.
find relief. They'll be able to breathe, and their blood pressure won't be as
Yeah.
high as it is now,
Yeah.
hating the world and everybody else who
Yeah.
are happy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's why I actually love Wife Economics and that whole aspect of, because through the 7 weeks programs that I love to do with women and actually sit down within the 7 weeks, we're really actually not just taking the time to prepare yourself for marriage, but to prepare ourselves. The whole first week we call the self-cared for wife, and we're understanding how to become that self-cared for person and healing ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and doing all that inner work for a whole week together, because that's super important. So this is just not something that we're saying like, just doesn't, it's important to do single and it's important to do in a relationship, but please just making sure to do those times and taking that safe space and being able to, gather all yourself back together so that you can be in a relationship is important. So
yeah, I mean, but
yeah.
they give up so
Yeah.
easily. People give up
Yeah.
so easily and just quit.
Yeah. And that's, marriage is a test of that stamina though. But that's why we always say these mental check-ins. So kind of going back onto committed people, right? So those mental check-ins for when you are in a relationship is super helpful for running that marathon. So asking questions like, how are you really feeling today? This is an open, broad question, and it may sound silly, but truth be told, you can get so caught up in the day-to-day mundane life that you live that you don't really, check in with your spouse. And you have to take that time and find out, open up the conversation of topics and just really figure out what's on your mind today. How are things going? What are you thinking about? How are you feeling? Are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? Actually being able to continuously cultivate that environment of openness and connection with your spouse is really all a relationship is about, to have that companion to go through life with. Another great question I love to ask, and I think every spouse every day should ask each other, is there something I can help you with today? That is something that we actively do every single day within our relationship, and it makes a world of difference. And it doesn't have to be something that, you pick a set time or whatever. Sometimes, it just comes on your heart. Once you make a habit of asking, you'll ask your spouse, how can I care for you? And what way do you need me to be there for you? That is really big when it comes to a marriage, and you're going to need to do that every single day, because every single day is different. As much as every day is, maybe the routine of going to work, and waking up, eating your meals and being with your kids or whatever the case may be, but still every day is a new opportunity for you to connect with your spouse, learn something about them, grow with them, and care for them too. So yep, that's the mental aspect of marriage fit for the most part.
Yep.
Quick summary.
So this brings us to the physical aspect of the marriage fit training. You both might be sure to take care of your body. Both must be sure to take care of your body. Are you getting enough sleep?
Yeah.
Are you eating healthy? Are you taking time for yourself? Are you exercising regularly?
Yeah.
So staying physically healthy and active together can be a great way to connect with your partner and build a stronger relationship, so you can be stronger together. So it can also be a fun way to spend time together and have some laughs.
Yeah, it's a way to connect with your partner in particular. Like,
go walking, go running, hiking, biking, swimming.
Yeah, there's so many different things that you can do together. And besides the obvious part, you want to stay healthy so that you can live a long life with your spouse. That's what it's all about. You want to be healthy and not allow disease or sickness or dis-ease, like it really is within the body, all of that to cause problems within your relationship. Staying physically active, of course, it improves your health. It helps with your energy levels, so you're able to go about your day and still, have time to do the things you want to do and not get bogged down. It will improve your mood. We talked about your lifespan, but also, improve your sex drive. And sex is for sure one way to actually stay physically active within your marriage. But if you definitely make that a part of, your exercise routine and everything, then, it makes it also easier to have satisfying sex with your spouse, believe it or not. What was that statistic? It was like
what hour of sex is like 3 days worth of exercise or something.
Yeah, if you do
it right, yeah. Can't be lazy with it.
Right.
You got to change a couple of positions.
Okay, that's the after dark version. And make it a habit, though. Make life being physically active and everything a habit with your spouse. You try to schedule that physical activity into your weekly routine, making sure you're taking that time out to actually stay fit together, stay motivated together, something that you actually actively enjoy doing together. So we kind of talked about some of the things, swimming or hiking or bicycling or martial arts, kickboxing. It's so many different things that you can do with your spouse, but just find those realistic goals that you can set and, gradually build upon them. Always give yourself a challenge together that challenge each other, keep each other healthy and going and motivated. That's really going to be great for your relationship overall too.
Yep. And then encourage each other. So when one of you are feeling down, encourage each other to keep going. This will help you to stay motivated and to support each other through tough times.
Yeah. And that really tags right on into the spiritual fitness aspect of this all, because we're talking mind, body, and spirit here. So got to the mind, we did the body, and that leads you right into that spiritual aspect, those spiritual beliefs that you hold within your relationship. This is going to be a common foundation on which you build your relationship with. I don't quite know how people could have a relationship and not agree on aspects of spirituality or even politics. In a way, I would kind of throw that in there, because those are beliefs and values and things that you common understanding of what you believe of being right and wrong. Truth be told, like those are
your
things
morals
that
and ethics.
Yeah, you have to agree on those things. Yeah. That spiritual fitness actually really provides that sense of purpose and meaning for the relationship.
I mean, but if you talk about politics, I don't know how relationships or how people, I've heard it though, how people work together or live together with different political views. That's very dynamic. That's very complex to me. I don't know how that happens. But do we have a question or comment? Oh, we have some youth up here. They have a question.
Let's tackle that. You want to tackle that now?
Yeah, and I have
don't know
No, it's
how
not
this
really a comment.
forget.
It's more so a comment. It's that and plus.
Yeah, Windows Plus. There we go. Sorry, our screen is a little far. I'm only 16 and I have a kid. I don't know what my next move is, to be honest. That is an in-depth question. Definitely too in-depth for this for a quick response. It's a lot of questions that would go like we need to know your environment, who's around you, who's helping you. Are you doing this on your own? Where's your parents? All of that comes into play with this question
Yeah,
before I could.
and I don't know if you're a male or female. Like, where's your partner? You basically you skipped your teenage years. Understand that you skipped your teenage years and you're directly into your adulthood. And I can only hope that your parents are there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know your current situation, but I hope that you are getting some sort of financial support from your significant other, and that you both are working, and especially working on being together. If you all not already are, but I don't know the depths of that. That's a real deep situation.
Yeah, too deep for one quick. That's what I was saying. Like,
yeah,
we need details, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not here to you're still a minor, so I don't really want to go deep into what
Not through comments.
through comments and letting people go. And evidently, I know that you need help because you're coming here to ask us for help. And as far as next moves, you really need to find.
I would email us. I would email me on the website or something like that.
Yeah, but
take it a little off personal, but
you really need to find a mentor. You need to find somebody who's able to guide you and lead you, and preferably someone who's married, a married couple, and take their advice. You really need somebody close to you and whoever you have a child with. You all really need to have the intention of raising that child and being
adults now,
right? Being mature.
Yeah.
You have to understand that all the games in front of are gone.
And it's no longer about you.
And it ain't about you. Exactly. Selfishness needs to go out the window. And being young. And that's the thing. That's one thing I don't like about MTV. And they did that, teen mom thing, trying to glamorize.
Yep.
And we're not trying to blame you or anything like that, but you won't know something unless you see it. A lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of the youth are exposed to things so early,
and they think it's just okay because it looks nice. They got money. They on TV,
and they think it's something that's normalized. But that is not the case. But like I said, that your next move, if you don't have a mentor or someone to counsel you, that's what you need next. And then also too, I hope that you can find someone to help counsel you and your significant other to help get some guidance on raising that child moving forward. So I would
do a lot of the self. If I'm thinking of things that, if this is, I don't know, I'm assuming that you are the woman, a girl, woman now, a mom now. I would assume you do a lot of the inner self work for yourself. You really got to go and in a way parent yourself right along with parenting your child, because you still got to grow up on your own. But then the woman in you has to kind of step out and reach out for that information through different avenues, whether that's, I'm not saying that you can just watch a bunch of videos or read a bunch of books, but that's one way to get started. Of course, journaling down, having a plan for yourself, your goals. What are you passionate about? Figuring out how did I get myself in this predicament? What were the things that I would have done differently? What are the things that I needed to been told to myself to help me to make better decisions? What was I missing out on? How is it some way that I can now, at this point that you have your own kid, you have to not so much worry about, I guess, the aspect of you being mothered per se by someone else too much as we want to say you do need a mentor and you do need to be guided, but you also have to take a lot of that responsibility within yourself to help yourself. Get out there, find those things you need to learn, whether that's, being able to care for your child, taking those first aid classes, those learning about parenting classes, read those parenting books. Like it's a lot of things now, a lot of aspects of life now you have to step up to and actively seek to learn. You're 16, so you're able to get yourself in this situation. So I'm certainly believing that you are certainly capable to go out and learn. You got to go out and learn things that are going to help you be a better woman for yourself and for your child. So
as if they're a woman.
Yeah, that's if you're a woman or a better man. Like, right. Depending on, I'm just assuming here.
Right. And if you're a man, you better be working.
Oh, yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I would assume she's a woman because she's with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, but we're guessing.
It's only an assumption.
Yeah.
As a man, you need to be working. I know you're still in school. You need to be doing both. It's going to be hard for you. You've made this grown decision to want to lay down and have children.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that like I said, you've basically skipped past your teenage years and into adulthood fast. So you need to be working and going to school, and it is a struggle. It is a struggle, but it's going to make a mature adult out of you.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately.
Oh yeah. Especially if you sign up for it. You
right. And don't stop there. Just keep moving forward, trying to gain as much access to a career as you possibly can, and keep moving up. That's all I can tell you as far if you're a man, and then also to find a mentor too around you, preferably someone who's married, a married man who's able to provide guidance and bestow wisdom upon you in order to give you additional resources, which is knowledge, in order to navigate this world with the challenges that you currently have. So I'm gonna just leave that there for you. And that's something that we've been getting lately is a lot of questions from the youth and young people out here, which lets us know too that these people, we came from a place of single parent households, and
I had to grow up fast too. I was on my own, 16 years old, so I get it. I literally living on my own, paying rent on my own.
Yep.
16, so I get it. I'm there. I didn't have a kid, so that part you missed me, but I get it. Like,
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of challenges out here, and that's what we're getting. And I applaud the youth, the young people who are coming up here and asking questions, because they're not getting that guidance anywhere,
right?
And they're needing help. That is a sign of to me almost like desperation, that they don't have anybody around them or anyone who's willing to guide them, or they may be kind of shy to ask or what have you. But I'm just glad that we have this platform where we're a sounding board for people. I remember when we were growing up, we had Teen Summit on BET, and that's when BET was a resource for teens and youth. But then they took that away, especially after MTV had bought them out. But things like that are slowly, fastly dying off. We're missing these resources for our youth, to a place for guidance, a place where they can ask questions from people who are experienced. So
not with an agenda per se.
Right,
I feel like a lot of people got agendas with a lot of the information that they give.
Just trying to misguide people
now. Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of these problems with these youth happen, is because they get these bad ideas from bad people, and then they follow through with the decision or whatever the case may be, because it's glamorized and it looks cool.
Yeah.
That needs to stop in our society, but it ain't. But that's the reason why we're here, to help combat that.
Right.
To show you options and things that and how give you a better option for success.
Right. I do want to say the website, wifeconomics.com/submit a question. It is anonymous up there. If you could go, and I will be able to, I probably won't make a show out of this, but just being able to provide you with a little more information, and you can provide us. It is a safe place. It's a secured website. Nobody is going to know the information. Is just a direct way to contact us, so
that is an option, because it's anonymous. So people can ask questions up there, and it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to you. We don't know you from a can of paint. So if you feel inclined to use www.wifeconomics www.thebrightlife.com/submit a question and
Yeah.
give us some topics up there.
And some more details, mainly for this person up here, the girl up here. Well, of course, everybody for sure, but in particular, I just wanted to say that for just to connect with that person, so that you can get a little more detail, because that is the reach out, and I'm all for helping. So yeah, back on to topic though, back into the the spiritual aspect. So spiritual fitness, that really just provides that framework, that shared framework for decision making within your relationship. So when two people pretty much share the same spiritual beliefs, they're able to have that common understanding of what's right and wrong within them, and then that helps them to make decisions that are in line with their goals and their values as a couple, and individually too, because you want to know that the person that you're with is also going to uphold these standards and values when you're not around them. So if they are actually strong in that spiritual faith and belief of who they would want to be, or in who they want to be, then they're going to make decisions that are in line with those values. And this will ultimately lead to you having a stronger relationship and a more harmonious relationship overall, because there's again that common framework that you're working with. So that's really, really big. Also spiritual beliefs, they're really big for helping resolve conflict. For in general, when one partner, for example, when I always think of spiritual beliefs, we're talking about maybe even divorce. That's a big one, where if one spouse believes in divorce and the other one believes that it's never the answer, then it's important that you come to that common understanding and that common mutual agreed upon solution. So whether that's you having a prenup or whatever the case may be, making sure you have those conversations ahead of time. Is divorce a thing? We honestly, within our marriage, it's not. We believe in that lifelong commitment, and that's what you're really signing up to, and that's what it should be, But for this day and age that we're living in, you got to protect yourself as well too. So we are all for making sure that you have your prenups in line, and that gives you also to the do's and the don'ts of your relationship.
Right.
And women get things out of it too, believe it or not.
Right. And I want to, I got to always say this to normalize it. Utilize a prenuptial agreement to keep you all together. And what does that mean? Use your prenup like a menu for penalty, and understanding that if I stepped out on infidelity, this is what my wife is going to get. And that is how it's always been. But the thing is that a lot of people don't, when they hear prenup, if for some reason it just clicks, and especially in women's mind, that, oh, you're trying to get over on me,
and I ain't gonna come out with nothing.
And that is not the case, because you also too have to agree to it. So I know that you know better not to agree to something that means no good to you,
right? And
that makes no sense. And if that man approaches you with a prenuptial agreement in which he's walking all over you, then that intention of marriage is not there. It is not. So with that being said, then you all have a tool to compromise a marriage, to negotiate a marriage with a prenuptial agreement, so that is very transparent on what's going to happen to each of you if both of you step out on this relationship, eliminating the need for irreconcilable differences. You can strike things like that into a prenuptial agreement, and so that both of you understand clearly what is going to happen to you all if you do step out on that relationship. Use that resource as a tool to keep you all together. You can update it. But if you ever have to get into a divorce, it is actually cheaper than a divorce, because you have a prenuptial agreement.
Right.
So just be mindful of that. It's not normalized, and it really needs to be normalized. And that's how you fast track. If you need to have a divorce, that's how you fast track a divorce, is with a prenup. It's already explicitly stated what's going on and what's going to happen. But God forbid that happens to you all, just remember, that if I do this, then this is the penalty for this. And I'm not going to do that. So you use that as a tool, like a consciousness,
a checkmate. What's it called? A level of I'm trying to think of the word. It's nighttime. Like not a level of accountability, but in a way, yeah. I think that might be what I'm reaching for. But yeah,
right. It is a transparent, menu of accountability in a way. Use it for that purpose. But then again, understand too that you would be a fool to sign something that doesn't benefit you as well. And negotiating and compromising in a relationship is well, it's not a win-win for both parties. You both lose and win-win. That's the way I look at it when you compromise in a relationship. So it's just a draw. It's a draw for both of you all. So so just understand that. That's the realistic, mature way to approach a prenuptial agreement, and they're not bad. It's just a great way to maintain transparency in the relationship. That's it.
Yep.
It needs to be normal. It needs to be normalized here in the United States with the divorce rate so high. So
yeah,
you know, but women, I hear that all the time, that women aren't, they don't, they look at it as something that's so negative and like, oh, so you plan on stepping out on me,
the stigma, yeah. But it's not. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it don't. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that way. And then
even better, it's not if you don't even think about that.
Right. I mean, because and then men have to guard themselves all the time before they get married, because irreconcilable differences is a thing, and then you're left with supporting the wife with alimony and child support, and you could have done nothing wrong here in the United States, and you're getting taken for a ride after you get married. So men help to normalize prenuptial agreements, especially if you have a good wife and you want to prove and show to her your commitment to the relationship, and have her to sit down with her before you all get married, preferably, and so that you all can agree and find common ground on stipulations and penalties, and let her know that, hey, I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything if I leave you or step out on this relationship. All I'm asking for is for you to be my helpmate and enjoy this life and journey of marriage with me,
and do the morally and ethically right thing.
Right.
I think it's important
explicitly state your barriers and things that you will stand and what you won't stand, so that you are very transparent, instead of having an emotional marriage where you all are just getting married because you all emotional about each other. So, that goes back to how I said that marriage is also a business, because we have to you're contractually obligated once you get married through the state.
Yeah.
But you remove the state from all of that decision making once you take control. You take the control of a prenuptial agreement.
Yep.
And you both have that control back into your marriage. So that's how you get the state out of the marriage part of it.
Yeah. Yep. That's so true. And it also provides, comfort and the support, and then that transparency, like you said. But that, believe it or not, does tie right into the spiritual beliefs of it, because if y'all mutually agreed upon way of operating, then what you're going to do. That should provide you with a level of comfort and stability and support. And even when things like sickness may come up, because that's one, or financial issues may come up, whatever,
And I know people, they weren't married, but I know people who fell ill, and then their significant other decided to leave them because they had cancer. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing. Like, it's better to have that had happened then instead of happen in a marriage. But you don't really know people until you actually get into a marriage. So that's the reason why, again, I said, prenuptial agreement is a thing of choice. That's the choice. Lay it all out on the table. Talk about the ugly first. Talk about all the ugly, during this, honeymoon phase of the relationship, and see how well y'all can get through negotiating a prenuptial agreement into a signature on both sides, fully executed signature on both sides, so that both of you all can get that squared away, have clear transparency in the relationship. Talk about it all, lay it out there,
Yeah. And to lead back onto the spiritual aspect of it too, talk about when you get into, what's most important in your life. What are the things that you really believe in, that you are not, like you said, willing to compromise on? That's super important for you to actually be able to put this into practice within your day-to-day life. And then also too, bringing on that community around you. You want to actually have that shared space, that sense of community of where you're able to support each other through a difficult time. So whether that's even attending things like marriage workshops, or services, or praying together, or reading together, learning, gaining knowledge together, growing together, connecting on a deeper level spiritually together, all of that will keep your morals and your values and your principles strong, and that framework strong within your relationship, so that you don't have to worry about that option of divorce and all that other stuff, because you're actually putting in the work to keep those connections and those values strong within your marriage, because that is the moral part of marriage. That's the spiritual part to me of marriage, that fear of God part of marriage, to where you don't want to do
Karma.
that karma part of marriage. Yeah, where you really want to be an upstanding person for yourself, because you don't want to deal with the karma, but also too for your spouse and for your family too, if you bring kids and stuff in there. So you want to be able to do all of this together and practice that together. So some natural things that you can do in a relationship to really keep you on the spiritual marriage fit side of things would be like, spending time in nature. That, believe it or not, is a very spiritual, powerful force that connects you with nature and God, and bringing God into your relationship, and will bring y'all closer together. So we always talk about the physical. You can bring the physical aspect into it as well, like going for nature walks together, or sitting by the
A
ocean,
picnic.
connecting, sitting in nature and connecting together, and actually spending those times together, cultivating that love and that peace for the finer and simpler things of life, that, believe it or not, makes a world of a difference. And it may sound small, but that spiritual aspect is super important when it comes, again, to that moral, that framework, that really your goals, your priorities, keeping all of that in line with each other. So yep. Let me see what else. Oh, meditating together. Meditation, of course, is a great way of things that you can do together. Bring your kids. I always say we meditate with our little kids. Our 2-year-old is in here meditating, and those are things that we try to do as a family, because it really does connect you to your inner self and connect you with each other. We are all spiritual beings here having this wonderful earthly journey, but the spirit of us can still connect with the spirit within our loved ones. So when you take those times to really connect with that inner self and you do it together, it really works within your relationship.
Yep.
So
And then that's also the same as prayer.
mm-hmm.
For the Christian folks out there,
Yeah.
praying also too is a form of meditation and repeating mantras.
Yeah.
So understand that as well. That is the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a form of it, rather. That
Yeah.
is a form of it.
Speak life into each other. I always say that is one of the biggest spiritual aspects of your relationship as well, being able to hold in a positive thought on your spouse, not to think of them in that light in a negative way, trying to keep the positive side of them, seeing them at their best, hoping the best for them, praying for them, connecting with them, and wishing the best on them, and all of that. When it's a way of being of service to each other, when you're doing that for each other, you're connecting with each other, you're passionate about each other, and you're finding that cause of living together and purpose of life together. So it's really important, and it really does help.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then do service together. So
Mm-hmm.
helping others can be a great way to connect with your spirituality and to connect with each other. So find a cause that you are both passionate about and volunteer your time together.
Yeah.
So volunteering is a great way to build relationship, and then also to help out your community and each other.
Yeah, we consider this our volunteer time. We always say this is not only an opportunity for us to serve the community, but we're allowing God to work through us. And that is one of the beautiful things of when you do decide to get married, you are come into marriage, you are inviting God to have greater dominion, and being able to work through two people instead of just one, and coming together is so amazing. And
Right,
it's something that people should want to do.
Yeah, because this world needs this. I mean,
Mhm.
We've only been on social media for about what's going on 6 months, and I'm just seeing like how much I wasn't always up there and looking and seeing the reactions and people who are just hurt. There's people
Mhm.
who are just hurting out here, who need just some good news or just some guidance. There needs to be shown the way that there's some sort of blueprint on how to build life, how to build relationships, how to be happy. My goodness, like
yeah, because there are couples like us out here, but a lot of the times we being in that life, you get so caught up in the life you don't really think to step out and help others.
Yeah,
but that's important, believe it or not. So other married couples, please, I love seeing when other married couples, they comment, they tell their life experiences and stuff like that through this platform as well. Please utilize us for that too. Speak out and let people know about your experiences and the things that work for you, and how you can help some, you helped your relationship and stuff.
Right, because we need thousands of people
doing what we're doing. Yeah, believe it or not.
Yeah. I mean, there's no competition. We're just trying to spread the word and just trying to help people. Because we're combating evil out here. That's the bottom line. You just turn the TV on, you see evil. It's in your house. It's in your music. It's in what you see. You look out the window. It's everywhere. So I mean, if there isn't a people trying to do good and out here, then you that's it. I'm saying that you combat evil with good,
because good is everywhere too.
Right,
good
is good
all over the place, but it's not as highlighted as it should be. And so we're hoping that more and more married couples help, in particular within the relationship sector, speak out about the good parts of marriage and the wonderful parts that it's doing for a relationship and a family. We see, if not for ourselves, do it for our kids, because we all know being married is the best way to raise your children up, and having that solid 2-parent household. It is a great way to raise children so that they can go out and then be functioning adults. What we're seeing is a byproduct of not having those 2-parent homes.
The lack thereof.
Yeah. And so it's now more important than ever. So, of course, this is why, if you are in a happy married relationship, being able to step out and help others, not only will that give you that good fulfillment as well, but you're just going to be doing a great thing for the community as well. So that's one thing that we do want to ask for any married couples that are watching this, because we've had some married couples chime in and say some great things too. So thank y'all for those as well. But also, spiritual connection is built on trust and honesty mainly. So you really have to look to be open about the communication of your thoughts and your feelings and your beliefs, and really be open to building that deeper connection with your spouse, and not afraid to, talk about all types of things on all types of different levels with who you're having this relationship with, because you're gonna go through life with somebody, and that's gonna bring in a whole bunch of different experiences, different trials and tribulations, and then great successes that you're going to go through as well. So just having that open level of spiritual fitness for your marriage is really going to help you stay fit for marriage and really be able to go in the long term for the marriage marathon, we say.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much all we have for the mind, body, and spirit aspect of Marriage Fit Friday.
Yeah, so reflect on that. So how are you getting fit for marriage or staying fit for marriage? So understand that, and let us know in the comments too in this video. Share your thoughts about things that you do with your spouse or significant other to show that you are marriage fit and committed to the relationship.
And even as a single person, how are you taking the time to prepare yourself for marriage? What are the things you're doing? Hopefully you're going back in all the things that we have talked about tonight in this video. You're looking to take those and apply to your day-to-day life. We, of course, every show that we have, we look to tackle on some ways that you can utilize whatever the situation that we're, breaking down, but you can utilize that for your advantage as well. So being able to go out and listen to the wisdom of other people's experiences is a great thing. So we always do encourage people to talk and, connect with us on this channel and work with other, couples and meet people. And I'm excited for the overall vision of how this grows. Because again, we're just new. This is brand new for us. We're 6 months in, and I'm just excited to see where we're at 3 years from now,
Right, most definitely.
And what God's going to do with this channel. So getting y'all marriage fit, keeping us marriage fit. And great families, building families. Any other questions though? Let me check I didn't check the comments on YouTube. We've ran a little over time. I'm glad we had this long conversation. We never actually took the time to talk about what we meant for Marriage Fit Friday. So I'm glad we
I think
actually
we did our
broke this
first.
down.
I think we did our first Marriage Ship Friday.
You think?
We did talk
Well,
about
a
it.
good breakdown. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a long time ago. It's always nice to go back up. That was a safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, especially Instagram viewers, if you all can also too subscribe to our YouTube, we would really appreciate it. Help us to get those numbers up there and spread the word on that platform, and vice versa. YouTube viewers, if you can find us also too on Facebook and Instagram, rather. So with that being said, thank you all for joining us. It is Friday.
Yeah.
Enjoy the weekend. Hope you all have a great weekend. It's supposed to be nice here on the East Coast, the weather. So
last time, because we did have some other people join in last minute, but any other questions or comments, we want to make sure to offer in the opportunity for people to really ask and talk, because some people be like, we missed y'all, but we're here up and we do this every day. So catch us on Monday if you have a lingering question that you're not quite ready to ask yet.
Yeah. So with that being said, nothing. So with that being said, you all have a wonderful weekend and a good night. Peace.